Hey Andrew, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
So earlier you were talking about you always feel like your lower back's a bit stiff, right?
Yeah.
Why do you feel that? When was the first point you started feeling that? You spoke to me about like you do gymnastics and you're trying to like overstretch it, but you also do a lot of upper body strengthening and you feel like you always wake up with a bit of lower back pain, soreness, or even if you're lying down. Um, and you also mentioned that you have a physical job, so a lot of lifting in that, right?
Yes. Yep. So I've always found, I'll start with the hips.
Yep.
I've always had very tight hips and I used to never stretch as a kid. So I used to do lots of sports, lots of lifting at the gym.
Yep.
And I've always had very stiff and tight hips.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it comes to lower back, again, a lot of heavy lifting, upper body,
Mm-hmm.
and just no stretching at all.
Yep.
And then just a few years ago, I got into gymnastics and I was probably overstretching in certain areas and stretching like the hamstrings, the quads, and negating my hips.
Mm-hmm.
So I've always just woke up in a lot of stiffness and soreness in the lower back.
Yep.
And I'm just going to ask like what stretches I can do, or how could I, obviously, if I've got a physical job, how I can manage the pain as best as I can.
And what are some of the previous injuries you've had, or how long also have you been feeling this kind of feeling in the lower back? Is this just a constant thing? Is just a random thing? It pops up here and there, or is that you said you also have like a lower back stretching routine that you do?
Yeah. So right now I'm doing 5-10 minutes of lower back and core before I do any heavy lifting day. But it was always, it comes and goes. If I do a heavy upper body day, the next day my lower back is sore. Or if some exercises I do more of a range of motion on squats, I find a little bit of a pinch in my lower back. And for 2 or 3 days I've just got a lower back pain and I'm kind of walking around a little bit. Like an old man.
So sounds like you're doing the right steps in terms of you have a stretching routine for the back and for the hips. You're doing a bit of core work. So it sounds like you have the right idea around what you need to do. But most often than not, it is not so much like a lot of people have this understanding. Okay, we have lower back. We need to stretch the hips. We need to do core work. We need to do lower body strengthening. And the exercises sometimes are the right ones that you're doing, but it's not so much what exercise you're doing, it's about how you're doing them. Okay. So I might do a few assessments now. So we'll have a look at, you said you're doing some hyperextensions on that back extension machine. We'll look at that. You also mentioned you have a bit of soreness after you do squats, after you do deadlifts. So we'll have a bit of a look at your technique around that and how you're doing them and where you're feeling them, because when we're doing any sort of extension, it always has to initiate from the glutes, and then if the lower back comes into play, that's okay. But if you're coming out of lower body sessions with your lower back feeling sore for 2 to 3 days, that means you're probably overcompensating with the lower back, and the muscles that need to do the job, they're not actually doing the work. Okay.